Welcome back to Nightmare Creatures and the return of our horrifying foe, the Peeps monster. It didn't used to be that easy to rip apart, but our upgraded sword really does a number on them. They don't stand much of a chance anymore. Video glitch is causing that window to be transparent. Sure, it would be nice if all the windows that contained items were transparent, but that would make this much too easy to 100%. Our new attack, the Gymnast Strike, is one we've actually seen before. Demonstrated here shortly. There it is. It's just that spinning attack that we sort of do at random sometimes. Now we know how to do it on purpose. But why would we do it on purpose when we can so easily maim these poor guys? Weapon upgrades allow for more than just zombies to be vivisected by spinning and jumping attacks. I believe the first weapon upgrade only affects Peeps monsters. I know the werewolves and harpies from the previous level would have been unaffected had we been using an upgraded weapon on them. There we cut out a Peeps monster's legs underneath them. Monster who loses one leg is pretty much unaffected, but once they lose two, they instantly die because they can no longer stand up, as is required for all their animations. Here we have the unceremonious introduction of a new enemy type, the spider, mentioned in the loading screen for this level. Very, very similar to the Peeps monster, but many more limbs. Quite a bit more HP as well. And despite their similarities, still can't chop them up. That would be way too easy. And the only other type of monster in this level is the Thames monster. Can't do much of anything from here. Only reason to stop by is for that flash item. Of course, the return of Peeps monsters means the return of goofy traps that are easy to avoid. Despite the three heads, intelligence is not much of a selling point on these guys. Nor any guys, really. They're pretty much all just programmed to attack when you're blocking and block when you're attacking. We're going to see that spiders tend to be signified environmentally, with a certain wall texture inside of their hidden areas. If these ones ever stop knocking me down, I'll show that off. Meantime, good to talk about the item switching mechanic in this game. Really makes items difficult to use for new players, because what you have to do is hold down the left trigger. That will freeze your character in place, and then your movement controls will switch the items while you're holding that trigger down. Then the right trigger will actually use the item. It's extremely inconvenient. You cannot move while selecting an item. You can and very much should block because you're otherwise a completely open target for all enemy attacks. And of course, when you need an item, it means you're in a pretty dire situation already. It adds a lot of unnecessary stress to this game's gameplay. As if the adrenaline meter wasn't bad enough. We're also learning that spiders can be a bit of a challenge. I do really like them as visual design and as the way they actually behave. But they're very annoying to get used to. They have an extremely long reach. So they can usually get the hit on you before you can get the hit on them. They're also extremely aggressive, so they almost never stop attacking. But anyway, fence looks the same as everything else around it. Means we can break it and go get an item. Pretty missable item, and you don't need to get 100% on the PlayStation version because it gives you no bonus. Still annoying when they do that to you. That fence there, that one is visually different from the others. Perhaps as a way to tip you off to the fact that other nearby fences are breakable. And that brings us to another little spider secret. See the gross green texture? Not sure why they decided spiderweb should make walls green, but it works in a way. And back here we got some crates that are having a hard time loading in. But regardless, they provide us with some actually useful items. Still annoying because it takes down about half your adrenaline meter if you do that as fast as you possibly can. But anyway, back to Peeps monsters, which we can hack apart instantly. This level plays out very differently should you miss the weapon upgrade. It's about half Peeps monsters, and the tedium of having to slice them up manually instead of using one-hit kills really starts to grate on the pacing. It's unfortunate, but with the upgrade, quite a solid level. Inevitable jump scare, and if we were to fire a gun at this Thames monster, it would actually fire right over his head. You actually have to melee that one. You also can't jump over him safely, so he does have to die. We made it to the meat of the level, really. Sort of an open courtyard, quite unlike anything we've seen before, in subtle ways. See, this guy on fire right now is not the guy who jumped out at me in the cutscene a second ago. I tend to get confused here, because things look pretty samey, and the monsters also look very similar to one another. With all the darkness, it's a bit hard to tell what the hell's going on. For example, I've completely lost track of the Peeps monster who's screaming at me. There he is. His method of disposal was clearly not worth all the build-up. What he was guarding back here is, I guess, some kind of extravagant manor. Not sure if that's exactly what they were going for. I always felt it looked kind of like a church. But we're going to see, right around the corner, is an actual church. Which is why I think so much of this area looks the same. Right behind this gate here. With another Peeps monster ambush. I'm at least more certain that this is supposed to be a church. This maybe church has a little bit more to see though, so we can go around the corner, find yet another spider to kill. And there's some hidden items behind the windows here, including our first legitimate berserker pickup. That saw blade is the stuff of legends, probably my best remembered thing about nightmare creatures. But we'll get into that in due time. Now we gotta go find more secrets. And I accidentally showed off Nadia's walk animation. That's a weird little feature. More importantly though is the spinning sidekick. We learned that a few levels ago. There it is again. Forgot to show it off for a while. And Nadia is indeed something of a spinning sidekick to Ignatius. For some reason, he's kind of the main character of the game. He's your default choice in most of the stories about him. Really should be about Nadia, though, because we're tracking down her father's murderer. And she's a biologist specializing in immunology, dealing with a plague spreading across London. Really, she's got all the skills to solve all the problems, and all the emotional investment in the story, yet she's the sidekick. They just wanted to cram her in there as a, in their own words, femme fatale. Not sure I expected better from French developers in the 90s. I guess I've been underestimating my Peeps monsters. They can still kill ya. But that one was carrying another saw blade. In the N64 version, there's not an extra saw blade there. And the Berserkers can really turn the tides for a couple of fights. They last for a while. Pretty significant to lose out on one of them. There's very few throughout the entire game, really. onto the requisite docks. Guess I'll walk carefully across them. Yeah, that's unnecessary. By holding the block button and moving at the same time, you do that very slow strut. It serves no real function, and it opens you up to attacks. I tend to do it accidentally while I'm blocking, and then I get hit. I assume it is to precisely set yourself up in an exact spot that you might want to jump from in all the really needlessly overcomplicated platforming in this game, but I never really have to use it. But as an example of the platforming being pretty bad, as soon as I got onto the platform, these guys knocked me right back off, costing me another death. But there's a new life over here, and some pretty good items. It's worth the platforming, I think. Even if it does waste quite a bit of time. Now we have to walk all the way back to where we came from with the adrenaline meter ticking down. Should really make a run for it. But it's more stylish to walk, I thought. Yeah, that's probably the last time we're seeing Nadia's walk. I'll have to show off Ignatius's walk sometime, though. Because it's that important. Certainly important enough that they programmed it in. And over here, another life. That brings us to pretty much the end of the level. Back here is a big, wide open room. As soon as we set foot inside, door closes behind us. And two super spiders jump down for an impromptu boss fight. These guys have way more reach than the smaller spiders. A lot more health and do a lot more damage. But just as prone to stun locking as anything else. And the off-screen one should have been doing me no favors while I was fighting the first one. But no, he got distracted by something. Now he's gonna just be reduced to a million little pieces. The Berserker allows you to really show off the maiming mechanic this game has. And that really did no justice. We could have reduced that guy to somewhere near 100 separate little pieces, all scattered across the floor. Someday I'll show that off, but right now we gotta chase Crowley.
I move like a shadow through the darkness. You cannot capture me.
Yeah, apparently not, you pain in the ass. So Crowley just jack-be-nimbled away once again. I accidentally called him Crowley. Guess because I've listened to that Ozzy Osbourne song a few too many times, but the man himself, Aleister Crowley, pronounced it that way. It's just another thing this game got historically correct, even though it takes place long before Aleister Crowley's birth. But however the hell you say his name, he's slipped away again. Here's a text scroll from the N64 version to reiterate how that is a problem.